This podcast is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
Tom, we've played plenty of John Calipari clips this morning, and there's a wide variety of things that we can go into, but I want to start with the schedule. TCU in Dallas, Kansas and Budweiser Arena exhibition game. I mean, Arkansas's already got a loaded non-conference schedule. What did you make of the two additional scrimmages that Cal told us about yesterday?
Yeah, it's he's just a fixture in college athletics. I mean, like, teams are drawn to him, games are drawn to him, the networks, and so almost like he's a kingmaker. And so, hey, we want to play Kansas. Okay, it'll happen. That kind of thing. And Kentucky always got matched up in the challenges with the big teams, and so Arkansas, there's going to be a bit of that same thing going on here, and the fans should like it because they're going to be playing. Not that Arkansas didn't play a pretty good schedule last year with Duke and so on, but it's going to be a permanent thing, getting invited to these holiday tournaments and such.
These fixtures. Tommy made a good point earlier. I think a lot was made about what Arkansas was going to be after the win over Purdue last season. Kansas, blue blood, top 3 or 4 program in all of college basketball. You get them at home just like you did with Purdue. How do you almost keep Cal preached patience several times yesterday. How do you continue to preach that if you beat Kansas in an exhibition game?
Well, because you have a very recent history to draw on. The Purdue thing, and then that team just and they beat Duke, and they were ahead of them pretty handily until Duke closed late. But it's just that the team didn't really mesh well after that. Brazile got hurt, early in conference, and so. But yeah, I'm with you on Cal. I bet he said it 3 or 4 different occasions. Mm-hmm. Fans are going to have to be patient. It doesn't just happen overnight, and the SEC is very tough, and he's not lying there. The SEC is legit. Final Four type teams. There's many of them. Alabama did it. Tennessee almost did it last year, and so he's right. It's fans are going to have to be patient. There's going to be some ups and downs in this, I think.
Yeah. Tom Murphy with us from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. It's brought to you by the Arkansas Beef Council. Tom, what struck me is the ease in which he controlled the room, how comfortable he was. Even at the end, he went to anyone in the back got a question that didn't. I just thought the way he commanded the room was notable.
It's just such a Cal trait, He works crowds. He's really good at it, and he again emphasized the Johnny from Moon Township line because he wants people to see him as a regular guy, a guy who's going to get in and grind it and not kind of be a CEO type coach. So he's got a way about him. His opening statement went on for quite a while, and it was pretty interesting but he makes eye contact with you. I mean, he's got all the traits of a leader.
Yeah, and when you look at everything, he Ty touched on the patience part. He touched on the difficulty of the SEC. He talked about constructing this roster. I mean, we've heard several instances where he's talked about the schedule. There was no schedule, and putting all that together. There's been a lot accomplished in, say, the first 100 days. We always measure a U.S. president on first 100 days. His first 100 days has had a lot of activity.
It really has. And, when Brazile was in the transfer portal and, everyone else transferred out, there was no roster other than, a walk-on kid and I think Cade. And then, some of the Kentucky commits come over. Brazile, they get to come back to campus, which is a big get. Some of the transfers in are notable. I've always liked to do. You could tell he was a little bit raw when he first started playing at Tennessee, but last year he improved. I think he's going to be a big factor for this team. And then the scheduling has come along as he noted, and the staff as well. And he talked about Ronnie Brewer at some length, who is going to be kind of a liaison type guy with the former players and all, and possibly not on the court. It doesn't look like at this point.
Yeah, he seems surprised that season tickets were sold out. I mean, I don't think it surprised any of us, and probably didn't surprise him, but he he made a note of it and kind of played it off as he was a little bit shocked by that detail.
He did, and but I want to say the guys were talking after the presser that this is maybe the third straight year of sold-out season tickets. So Razorback fans were excited about Muss, reawakening the Giant, and it was great for 3 years. And then last year, the mixture fell off, and Muss maybe a little bit ready to take on some new challenge, and the same with Cal. His luster had worn off at Kentucky clearly. And he was ready to take on a new challenge, and the Razorback fans are here for it. They love going and watching Duke lose at Walton Arena, and there's going to be some more big moments under Cal, no question about it.
Tommy, you used the term giant, and I've heard that. Like Doug Gottlieb kept saying, there's a giant in Fayetteville. Someone's just got to wake it up. You mentioned Muss waking it up. Cal referenced the stint from 1990, Final Four, Elite Eight and Sweet 16, 91, 92. That might be flipped. And then also the national championship win in 94 and the appearance in 95. What is the actual height that Cal can get this program to, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, look, the SEC's tougher than it was back then. Of course, Arkansas was in the Southwest Conference for some of that, but the SEC in general is tougher than that was by a long shot. But still, I think what Muss did with consecutive Elite Eights and then the 16, that's certainly doable. And making a Final Four, I mean, that's the one step Muss didn't get over. But getting back to a Final Four is certainly doable. You have all the infrastructure you need. Now you have a coach who can recruit nationally, who can bring in transfers that are, at the top of the portal and things like that. So as long as you can find the right mesh, the fans are going to be there for it, as I said, and it is a giant. It can do what Nolan Richardson did in the early to mid-'90s.
And I wonder, from your perspective, as the SEC has gotten tougher, you mentioned, do you think coaches are in favor? There's a report from John Rothstein out there that they can move to 20 games starting next season, not this upcoming season, but next season. You think coaches are in favor of moving to 20 conference games in an SEC basketball season?
Well, it would only increase your strength of schedule. Now, it may be tougher to get to the 16, 17 win plateau for the postseason, but I'm sure there would be some amenable to it. It's like with Nick Saban in football wanting to go to 9 conference games. Oh, that was a slam dunk for him. But for the schools like Arkansas, South Carolina, Kentucky, and some of the others that are trying to get bowl eligible, it wasn't such an easy decision. And so I'm sure there'll be debate on it, and it won't be a 100% type deal. But I think in the long run, going to 20 conference basketball games could wind up helping the SEC.
Let's shift gears a little bit, Tom. We only got a couple minutes left, but Sam Pittman going to have his moment in front of the media to preview fall camp that begins later this week. What do you expect to hear from Coach Sam Pittman today in his address just days before the first practice of the year?
Right. I think he'll just kind of add on to what he said in Dallas, that he loves the team. He loves what he's hearing from the locker room. And if you're at Arkansas, you're not going to be in the top 10 in recruiting like so many of their peers are. So it's got to happen in the locker room. The magic has to happen in your relationships, how well you're going to fight for each other. He saw it happen in 21, and then in 22 it fell off a little, and then they kind of lost it in 23. So he understands it's got to be about unity, playing for each other, being on the same page. And so I think that's going to be a big part of what he's preaching throughout camp, because that could be the decisive factor in a tight game. I think we're going to hear more about, the depth on the line, the depth at linebacker. Do they have enough to compete and, have some depth there, and how the offense will be improved with Bobby Petrino at the controls. Yeah. Not only is his scheming top notch, but he's got the eidetic memory where it may not be photographic, but it's very close. So he can make in-game adjustments. He can see what you're doing and make changes, I think, faster than the average coach, and that's an advantage.
Can you equate Bobby Petrino and running this offense to points per game? We were having this discussion the other day. Is he worth a touchdown a game, just him calling the plays and running the show on the offense?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to put an exact number on it, but yes, it should equate to more offensive production. And, hey, let's don't forget that the scoring was down a little. They got, four or five defensive scores last year that helped them, and that was an underrated factor. I've said it several appearances in a row with you guys. I just think the defense made such huge strides last year. A little bit of a no-name, no Drew Sanders and some sack masters, but Landon Jackson and crew, they got it done, and they had those interception returns for touchdowns early in the year. And then you had the Jalen Braxton at Florida. They ended up kind of holding their end of the bargain, except in a couple of games like BYU. But, yes, I do believe that the addition of Bobby Petrino can pick up their scoring 4, 5, 6 points a game.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.